Hey, my name is Angela. I'm a holistic registered dietitian, nutritionist, and today I want to talk to you about intermittent fasting. So if you want to find out my perspective and the research, then let's get started. Okay, so intermittent fasting is a kind of a new concept that's been around for the past several years, but fasting itself is definitely not a new concept. And so today I want to talk to you about some studies on intermittent fasting, especially the ones on human studies, to give you a little bit more perspective about what that kind of looks like for you individually if you're looking at doing this. I want to answer the first probably question that you're wanting to know about, and that's with weight loss. And intermittent fasting can help with weight loss. So there has been a review that has been done recently on intermittent fasting in 2019 showed that 9 out of the 11 studies that they looked at showed no significant differences in weight or body fat loss in intermittent fasting versus the calorie restricted group. Now, so that doesn't mean they didn't lose weight. That means there was no significant difference between those who did a calorie restricted diet versus those who did the intermittent fasting. And so you can lose weight. Don't get me wrong about that, but it may depend on for you specifically what you prefer, whether or not you're the kind of person who likes to be a little bit more meticulous and look at the calories that you're taking in versus kind of just cutting down on the times and when you're eating. And it definitely matters about the quality and the types of foods you eat, regardless of if you do one or the other. There is even another study review that was done last year in 2020 that looked at 27 trials that were examined of intermittent fasting, and the results for the weight loss ranging from 0.8% to 13% of their baseline body weight. In studies that looked at over 2 to 12 weeks. So this is a short-term review of intermittent fasting studies. And there needs to definitely be long-term studies to look at, is this a sustainable type of program to continue with, or a sustainable type of modality for you to see yourself doing from 5 years from now. A key point that they made in this review is that there's no long-term studies, and there's no studies about do people keep weight loss off if they continue with the intermittent fasting. I want to shift gears for a little bit and talk to you about what I like to call, probably didn't coin it myself, but circadian rhythm fasting. And so how circadian rhythm is related to fasting. If you don't know what circadian rhythm, it's basically the process that regulates our sleep, our wake cycles. And so I like to look at eating based off of when we're sleeping and when the sun comes up, when the sun goes down, our activity levels. Are we more active in the daytime, or in the mornings, or in the evenings? And so basing our eating patterns off of this, because the normal typical American diet is having a bigger meal at nighttime, which kind of sets you up for storing a lot of that intake, that food, as fat, because our bodies are slowing down so much at nighttime before we go to bed. The sun has gone down. We should be more in a resting, getting ready for bed type of mode, not trying to digest a huge big meal that we're not going to be active to be able to help utilize that food for a lot of energy. When we expose ourselves to light at nighttime, it can trigger eating. It can trigger us to want to eat more, and definitely messing up our circadian rhythm, that timing. It can mess with our weight. And so there's definitely been research about how there's a significant association between light exposure at nighttime and obesity. And this is even after considering sleep duration, alcohol intake, and whether or not they were physically active. Thus, definitely the opposite is true. Those who are exposed to light in the morning time instead of at nighttime have a lower body weight. And not just in weight in general, but exposing ourselves to that morning bright light has been shown to reduce body fat in women. So definitely get outside, go take a walk in the morning, expose yourself to that bright light. Not just the walking itself will help with weight loss, but also that bright light will help improve our circadian rhythm. So go outside, take a walk in the morning, not just because you're trying to lose weight, but also to help improve your circadian rhythm. Okay, now when do you fast? If you're going to do intermittent fasting, when should you put these restrictions on when you're going to eat and when are your fasting times? Well, there's definitely research in regards to that showing that definitely having more of your calories earlier in the daytime when you're more active can help with that weight loss, which definitely kind of makes sense. If you're going to be active more in the day, you want to definitely eat more of that food volume earlier in the day to help with utilizing those calories, that energy for the activity that you're doing throughout your day. And in one of the studies talked about including a breakfast consumption, consuming higher proportion of that energy earlier in the day can provide some physiological benefits such as reducing inflammation, improve circadian rhythm, improve cell regeneration, stress, and our gut bacteria. And also in the study, it talked about just being consistent, whether you decide to have 2 meals or eat several different, small meals or have a couple meals and some snacks. It talks about being consistent is probably the most important key to helping with improving on health. So regardless if you had 2 to 6 meals in a day, consistency is the key. Figure out what you're going to do and stick with it. Intermittent fasting, when timed properly, can help sync our circadian rhythm. I mean, our organs are in a perpetual clocks, like our liver, our fat tissues, our muscles, and thus fat can help optimize this function. Earlier in the day is best, not necessarily after 4 p.m. to eat. And so definitely not having any nighttime eating. And Harvard had mentioned as well in an article that they wrote of eating between 7 and 3 or 10 and 6 to be having that window of feeding and then the other times of fasting. If you're wanting to fast, the idea is to eat early in the day, helping with your overall circadian rhythm, helping with increase your exposure to light as well, and then making sure you're having majority of your calories earlier instead of later in the day. And it also matters about the quality, the types of foods you're eating. It's not that you're going to eating a whole box of donuts, as your calories that you're going to utilize. So the quality of sourcing of the food definitely matters as well if you're trying to lose weight. All right, I hope this gives you guys a little bit of understanding of intermittent fasting, and if you're considering to doing it, I am a registered dietitian, not necessarily your specific dietitian. So feel free to leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. That will help definitely increase awareness of others who are looking for learning about intermittent fasting or nutrition in general. If you'd like to connect with me one-on-one, please feel free to go to my website, dietitianangela.com. I have all these links of articles that I went over today and a blog post that I wrote. All right, I hope you guys have a happy, healthy day. Take care. Bye.